Hello, and welcome back to A Nerd, a Teacher, and a Hockey Player, a relevant yet irreverent look at business, technology, and life in Wichita or wherever you may be. And Troy, thanks for turning up the sound. I'm Paul, I'm the nerd.
I'm Kimber, and I'm the teacher.
And I'm Jeff, I'm the hockey player.
Kimber, who do we have with us today?
We are so excited to have Kristen Selby with us today. Kristen is the owner of Timely Executive Assistants, and she is going to talk to us about...
filling your cheese.
I'm excited about this. What does that mean?
Yeah. So I own a fractional executive assistant agency based in Wichita, and we serve organizations, corporate leaders, teams, and founders across the country. And filling your cheese, I love this title so much. It's so creative. So I think about, leaders and founders and their skill sets, and how we all have our own strengths and weaknesses and the things that we love in our business, our zones of genius, if you will. And then we have other areas where we either are there energy drains, or we don't like to do them, or we're just not that great at it. And so those are kind of like the holes in the cheese idea. And so I think today we wanted to talk about, how do you know when to delegate and outsource these holes? And how do you know when it might just be a skill issue that you need to work on?
You need to sharpen.
Oh, man.
But first, before we get rolling too fast,
yeah.
I'm going to talk about T-shirts.
Yeah. Okay.
Kristen, what?
Yes.
Tell us about Abbey Road.
I have Abbey Road on, and I was so excited when Kimber asked me to choose. Well, it was actually kind of a challenge, because we go to concerts a lot. My husband and I, music is so important throughout my life, and in our household we always have music playing, all sorts of music. And so I thought, gosh, how am I going to choose? And so I tried to take it way back when I was really little, and I can't remember exactly the age I was, but I remember being so small that when my dad put headphones on me, they wouldn't quite stay on. And so I remember sitting with him, and he played all of Abbey Road, which, I was probably 5 or 6. I was like, gosh, this is a long album. But he was insistent that you had to complete Abbey Road. So anytime we started Abbey Road, we had to complete it and listen to it all the way through. And he still listens to it like that to this day. And we do it now with our kids, like on a Saturday morning, we're making breakfast. We listened, to our album, Abbey Road. And I think it was the first time that I think sharing music is a love language. And it was the first time I felt loved because somebody had thought enough of me to share something that, music that they enjoyed. And so I have friends and, my husband and even my kids now share music that, even though, I don't like all of it, it feels so good to have somebody say, hey, I think you might like this, or hey, mom, like, listen to this. And I have a 13-year-old and then 2 intermediate school students. And so a lot of the music they listen to, I'm just like, I don't really understand this, but it feels good to have somebody think of you in that way. And I think it's such a great and powerful communicator. So that's my Abbey Road story.
Well, I can't top that. I just have a Hard Rock Cafe T-shirt. Kimber?
Oh, I am wearing my OzSec 2022 shirt. This is the first
nerd
time.
Shirt.
My nerd shirt. This is the first time I went to a tech conference. This is the very first one. I had been in tech for exactly 6 weeks. And I was like, oh, there's a conference coming up. Can I go? They're like, I don't even know what that is. Sure. Knock yourself out. I'm like, woohoo. I was so excited. And have you been to OzSec?
No.
It is a lot. It is a cybersecurity conference. I didn't even know what that was when I started this thing. I was like, yeah, I'll go. I'll learn all about it. These are, they bring in people who are top of the field. They talked over my head, and they weren't intentional about it. I had no idea what was going on. I was happy to be included. Nobody was mean to me. There was a sandwich. It was great. And then I listened to Tara Parker talk about how everyone in that room is the smartest person in the room that they're ever in, but none of them can communicate. And she works at Bombardier, and she is like the go-to person at Bombardier. And she was like, nope, you have to have soft skills. And then like she was talking about stuff. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I know that too. I have an example for that. I was like, oh my God, I am the smartest person in this room. And I felt like, okay, I can do tech.
Nice.
Jeff?
I love that.
Oh, mine is Chevelle. Those that may have followed our other casts, I've got a couple other Chevelle T-shirts, but the last 2 times I tried to see this band, they were outdoor venues, and just, good old Kansas, here comes a storm. Both times, the band did not come on and play. So this past August 10th, I finally got an opportunity, and they were playing indoors, so it didn't fucking rain. Excuse my French. I'm going to go ahead and just pay for that one. But I got to see him, and it was an amazing show, and quite worth the wait. So
Good.
Chevelle.
Awesome.
Okay.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah.
Sorry for the little derail there, but let's go back to talking about cheese.
Yeah, absolutely. So I brought a framework with me, and I have some notes, and so I'll go ahead and read through kind of how we like to coach founders and leaders on how do we know if I delegate this skill or if I really need to spend some time learning how to do it myself, and then maybe we can just discuss it if you guys. I'd love your thoughts
Awesome,
on
that'd
it.
be great.
Okay, so here, when you are approaching like this is something that I should be doing or I can do, let's think about it through this lens. If it is something that is outside of your zone of genius and it drains your energy, then that should be considered something to delegate. If it's repetitive or process driven, so if it's something that happens over and over and over again in the business and it just is maybe a low level task, admin task perhaps that anyone on your team could do, or doesn't require your specific skill set, let's think about delegating it. And then thirdly, if the ROI of your time is higher elsewhere. So when I think about delegating, I think about creating space for more impact where it matters most. That could be professionally, it could be personally, but you're always trying to figure out, okay, where is my time best spent? Now, what if there is a task that you think, well, maybe delegating isn't really great? Well, let's think about skill building when the gap in a core competency is something that you need for long-term success. So if this is something that you're going to have to do as the leader in your role over and over again, you probably do need to learn it. Or if it's something that excites you or brings you joy, like keep that close. And I think there are times when perhaps it's not the best ROI of our time, but we enjoy doing it. And I think that's okay too, right? Giving ourselves permission, like, you aren't a robot, you're a human. If you enjoy something.
Don't suck the fun out of my life.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
If I want to just take it easy and just do a remedial task, that's okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes. And I even think, people think about delegating and outsourcing as these big things. Well, I think if you are doing grocery pickup, you're delegating something, right? So you're not going in the grocery store and shopping. I have friends who love to grocery shop because they like to look at all the ingredients and they're very tactile, want to look and see, the produce that they are shopping for. Well, it would suck the joy out of them to pick up a grocery order. So it's the same thing in business. If you have something that, if you really love inbox zero and you love managing your inbox, don't delegate that. But if it's something where you open up your laptop every day and you just, you're like the soul is sucked out of you because you just can't imagine.
You open the laptop and you sigh.
Yes. It's like the body language. Then maybe we can think about delegating. And then the third thing that I wanted to mention on skill building is that if the task is closely, and Kimber, you can probably speak to this, if it's closely related to your brand voice, sometimes it's really important to keep that and not delegate. I'm thinking about social media posting.
Right.
Often leaders will delegate parts of that to our team. So it could be the scheduling of posts or the creation of graphics or the first draft of a caption. But when you're talking about the brand voice, if that is really important to your business and who you are, then keeping something like that close may be the better option.
And brand voice should be very important to whatever your business is. That should be like, if you're putting it out there, it should sound like you. So, no.
Complete with F-bombs.
Complete. Oh, man. There's a post on LinkedIn of Paul being like, my fucking foot. I got to spend $1 for that.
I got you. You were quoting. It's fine.
Now, in all fairness, I didn't post that.
No, I did.
But it is kind of sort of on brand.
She posted it on your behalf.
I posted on.
And I think it's interesting, Kristen, as you go through your maturity as a business owner or a leader, that there are times you think of your life and your skills as a slice of provolone cheese, plain white, holeless. But as you get more mature or more experienced, you start to realize that, and that's why these two are sitting here. I did a crappy job of social media and marketing and staying on that because everybody will tell you I'm ADD AF. The F doesn't count.
I was listening to the story with intent.
Everybody will tell you I'm ADD AF and that I can't consistently post on social media, or I follow an idea this far, but then I don't finish it. So I decided, instead of outsourcing marketing, which succeeded and failed and succeeded and failed for us over the years, to just bring it in-house, because then I had somebody that I could coach and mentor on our brand voice, and when it's appropriate to drop the F-bomb and when it's not. Thank you for that edit, Troy. That was an amazing one.
That's a good one.
And you know, to lead that forward and be consistent in that. Jeff's here because I'm ADD and he's about as OCD as they come. So I kept promising my team, hey, we'll do reviews and we'll do goal setting and we'll do that next week, next month, after the holidays, after January. And it never, ever happened. So, you know, sitting here at the table with us are two examples of finally me getting to a point where I recognize weaknesses and things I'm not strong at or not great at, and then looking for either outsourced resources to fill those holes, to fill that cheese, or insourced resources.
Yes, exactly. And because you start to become a bottleneck for success and growth.
Oh, hell yeah.
So when you recognize that. And I think that part of successful delegation, a big part of it is self-awareness, is knowing yourself and what your zone of genius even is. You know, as we start to, you know, the onboarding process, we want to make sure that the clients we work with are really clear on not only what matters most to them, but what they're really good at and what maybe doesn't require, you know, their individual skill set. So that self-awareness piece is huge. And I think it takes a few years in business sometimes to figure that out. Right. You can wear all of the hats for a while and be fine. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly you look around and you're like, well, this isn't, you know, I can't scale and grow. I can keep it here and my head's just above water. But if I want to increase revenue or grow a team, that's when you have to start thinking about outsourcing.
And not to force you to stereotype people, but do you see that realization as being a time and business thing or a generational thing? Do you find that founders have to stumble and kind of discover that and identify those weaknesses no matter if they found a business in their 20s or in their 50s? Or do you find it that once people get Paul's age and they've got gray hair, they start to figure this shit out and know that they need help?
That's such a great question. I find that the most successful partnerships we've had are founders who are somewhere between 6 and 18 months into their businesses.
Because I am way late.
Yeah.
Or
here's the or they're really freaking old.
No, or founders that have delegated successfully and they're just ready to add another, person onto their team. I joke, Paul, you were probably the most self-aware and quick sales call I have ever had. I usually book like 15 to 30 minutes for a sales call, and Paul just got on and he was like, where's
the buy now button?
Start? I was like,
I'll take 2.
Is it calendar management? Is it inbox management? He was like, yes, and yes. Let's just get started.
All
I'm
of
ready.
That. All of that.
But I think that goes back to what you were saying about the self-awareness.
Yes.
And we kind of started this whole idea of filling our cheese several years ago in the organization with different roles and different, skill sets. So as I filled one hole, you fill the big hole in the cheese, and then you're like, well, there's one this big, and then there's one this big, and now I'm down to like baby Swiss. So I'm still filling the baby Swiss holes, but you at least acknowledge it. Well, look how successful I was when I filled this hole with marketing, and now I filled this hole with operations. What else can I do? What other things can I fill that aren't necessarily things I hate, but they're things I'm not good at, right? Or they're things that go back to your concept of the ROI that I'd be a lot more productive and get a better return on doing this than scheduling social media posts.
Right. And it is like a snowball. We find that too. It's like, you kind of dip your toes in the water and then you're like, how did I live without this? And then you start identifying other holes. And I think an important mindset shift is, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Oh, we say that so many times.
Yeah.
We have episodes.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yes. Yes. It's like, is my time best spent here? Because we're all capable of, and especially, founders who have started their own businesses, they're capable of learning any skill they need to, but that doesn't mean they should.
Or that they want to.
Or that they want to, right.
When did you start your business?
So I have been in the assistant world for 18 plus years. Mm-hmm. I started timely in March of 21.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind if I ask how many employees you have?
Sure. So I have a team of contractors, and we have 8 right now, and we're hoping by the end of the year to scale and grow that to 15.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah,
That's
it
neat.
is. It's been quite the journey. And, you know, when I launched my business in 21, it was obviously post-COVID. And I really wanted to bridge this gap that I was seeing in between, you know, the VA, which absolutely VAs have their lane, you know, for some organizations that really is dynamic. But to me, a virtual assistant is someone that you can give a checklist to, and you are initiating the training, and you are initiating these are the items that I need done today. Virtual assistants also have a high, you know, assistant to client ratio. So they're typically working with 10, 15 clients. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have an in-house EA, which a lot of organizations don't actually need. They don't want to take on, you know, the liabilities of, you know, salary and benefits and having somebody sit at a desk all day and not really knowing if they have the task to fill their time. So I saw this gap, and I wanted this fractional model that we could provide, you know, a matched EA that could, you know, provide this hyper customized, attentive support. So you know, are all encompassed, you feel completely supported, but on a fractional basis.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was kind of my idea for the model, and it does seem to resonate with founders and organizations.
So Kristen, you've heard about mine. What are the holes in your cheese?
Yes. So isn't it hard to turn the mirror on yourself? I often look in the mirror and I'm like, I just need a clone. So
I need an EA.
Yeah, exactly. Wait a minute. So in March, I started working with a fractional COO because I love creating SOPs and processes, but I really have a desire to scale and grow my business. And I knew that I didn't have the time or energy that it would take to, and also the objectivity that it would take to look at, you know, kind of my business as is and where I wanted to go and just figure out, okay, what are the best steps, most efficient steps to get there? And so I started working with her in March, and I just, like, no looking back. It's been amazing to have somebody just kind of help carry the vision and, you know, talk through decisions and think through, you know, long-term scaling goals. So that was a big hole in my cheese that I've recently filled.
Did you go to Timely COO to get your help?
That's the next phase.
I'm like, wait a second.
Wait a minute.
Paul, I got an idea.
No, so I connected with a woman. She's based out of Denver, and her name's Melissa Rose, and she's phenomenal, and she's values-based, which is really important to me as I grow a team culture that I want to feel. I told her, one of her first questions during onboarding was, how do you want your business to feel? And I was like, oh, you're my person. It's not, you know, it's not always about just the revenue and how many people and, you know, the numbers.
So you found the buy now button also.
Yes. I was very similar. I was like, okay, let's go. I'm in. So I told her my word was ease. Like, I know it's not going to be easy, but I want there to be some sort of ease about everything I'm doing, you know? And so, because I don't want to be frazzled and chaotic and overworked. And then, you know, people look at me and they're like, wait a second, like, you are providing this service to other people and you are about to burn out. So, it was important to me to have ease in my business, and it's been very helpful. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool that you had to do that to fill your cheese.
Right. And, you know, I think it's important for me to do that because it felt risky, and it felt like an investment, both financially and with my time and energy. But I just knew in my gut it was the right next move. But I can now better empathize with, you know, prospective clients as we're having these conversations. The first time you delegate, I'm sure, Paul, you can speak to this. The first time you bring on someone,
Scares the shit out of me.
it's scary.
It was funny too because he even said, "Here we go." I mean,
And we're off.
And we're off. I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
It was just,
it's
you
terrifying.
could tell he was a little out over his skis a little bit when he first got it and stuff, and we started hearing from our fractional EA.
So from Jeff and Kimber, from a personal development standpoint, how do we help our team find the holes in their individual cheese? Because that's the next step in this process. I mean, this process has made me better, it's made the organization better, but how do we push that downstream so that each of you are doing that kind of introspection and the rest of our team's doing that also? And we look at...
Do you want to start?
Go ahead.
I think it's so important in that to be, like, supportive in it and not be like, okay, so you suck at this, and I'm really tired of waiting for it. So I'm going to have somebody else do it. You think you have to be really, hey, I noticed that you struggle with this. let's figure out a plan to develop it. And I think that's a good start. It's real easy for me to be like, I'm on the 3-2-1 communication. I'll tell you 3 times really nicely. I'll tell you twice a little less nicely, and then I'm going to mom hey you. And if you get mom hate, like,
You know, mom. Usually it's followed by a first and last name. Maybe a middle name to boot.
yeah. But just kind of that, finding that, I think, for a lot of people, this is how we talk about communication all the time and that culture of it. Okay, this is something that I see you struggle with. You're not a bad person because you struggle with it. What can we do now?
Right.
And then having them identify, oh, yeah, because it has to be their idea.
So, Kimber, what are the holes in your cheese?
I can't say no, and I need to not say it nicely 3 times without telling you on that 3rd time. Next time I'm going to be a little less nice to the next time. Be like, you're getting mom hate next, guy. I need to work on that.
I absolutely agree with you. I think, and I'm reflecting on some of the team members that I lead and how we sometimes identify areas. And sometimes it's very clear because you'll get a complaint or you'll get somebody who comes to you and says, I didn't like the way this went down or something. But oftentimes it's just asking the right questions and getting them to kind of try to reflect and search. I agree totally that it has to kind of be their idea sometimes to get them to really buy in. If you're shoving it down their throat, it tends to not be as effective. So I do oftentimes try to lead them to the point of, how can I help you with that? And trying to just elicit that to get them to take the step to say, yeah, I could use some help, or I need some help, or could you help me find out how I can do this better, or something like that. And oftentimes, talking to technical people, they think it's all technical, and it oftentimes isn't about the technical stuff. It's about the communication, right? Or the how you communicate or when you communicate. So yeah, I think it's part of all of that, but you just have to observe and both be ready to reflect on your own.
Right. And I love that both of you mentioned like letting it come from them. So generally we enjoy doing things we're good at, like just as humans.
Right.
So if they can identify like what their zones of genius, and I mean, in any job, you have to do things that you don't always love, but if they can live mostly in that zone of genius, and then the other things like how can the organization support? Is there a class that they can take? Is there, a mentor they can provide? So how can we support those holes? But just making sure that they're not living in the holes more than they're in their zones of genius.
Right.
Because that's really getting them out of their comfort zone, which is okay to an extent. But if you live all the time outside your comfort zone, and it's just exhausting, and you're just always uncomfortable.
Right. And it also goes back to the self-awareness piece, right? There's a lot of people and organizations who haven't really even asked themselves these questions. Right. So if they don't know themselves well, then the organization suffers.
Kristen, any last minute thoughts you want to leave our viewers?
Well, you can find us at timelyea.com. We just refreshed our website and we now have a services guide after 4.5 years. So that feels so good to actually have something tangible to like send to people so that they're like, well, what kind of support do you, if I don't know how to delegate, what could you do for me? So now we have that. So that is on our website to download, and it has details and pricing. But I'm just so grateful to have gotten the chance to visit with you all today. This is my favorite topic.
Yay. Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of think the holes in the cheese are what makes each of us unique. So, I mean, we don't want them to go away, but, identifying them makes us more effective. Absolutely. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.